Most people do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they stop too soon. They stop when progress becomes invisible. They stop when doubt becomes loud. They stop when the world grows quiet and no one is cheering. But if you look carefully at life, at history, and especially at the natural world, you begin to notice something remarkable. The people who change their lives rarely do something dramatic. Instead, they do something deceptively simple. They keep going one step longer than everyone else. And today, I want to share something gentle but powerful with you, something that may quietly change the way you see struggle, patience, and your own path forward. Because persistence is not merely a motivational phrase people repeat in speeches, it is something far deeper than that. It is a pattern woven into the fabric of life itself. If you were to walk slowly through a forest early in the morning when the air is cool and the ground still carries the scent of the night before, you might notice something curious. Nothing in that forest is rushing. Trees are not sprinting toward the sky. Moss is not competing loudly with the stones it grows upon. Ferns do not panic about how quickly they are unfolding. Everything moves slowly, quietly, patiently. And yet, over time, that forest transforms entire landscapes. Roots push through rock, fallen leaves become soil, tiny insects reshape the earth grain by grain, and eventually, without noise or urgency, a forest becomes something vast and ancient and alive. What I find fascinating is that nature almost never grows through sudden explosions of progress. Instead, it grows through constant movement. Small, steady, stubborn movement. A river moves a little each moment. A seed grows a fraction of an inch each day. The earth itself spins quietly through space without announcing its progress to anyone. Yet over time, these small movements create mountains, valleys, forests, and oceans. Human beings, however, often forget this simple truth. We expect progress to look dramatic. We imagine it will arrive with applause, recognition, or a clear sign that we are on the right path. We think success will feel obvious and exciting every step of the way. But real progress rarely feels that way. Most of the time, it feels ordinary. Sometimes it even feels disappointing because the results appear slowly and quietly. And because the results are quiet, many people assume nothing is happening. And because they assume nothing is happening, they stop. They stop learning. They stop building. They stop believing something better is possible. But what if the real secret to changing your life was never about speed or brilliance or perfect timing? What if the real secret was something far simpler and far more forgiving? What if the secret was simply this: keep moving? There is a beautiful lesson hidden in rivers. Imagine standing beside a river that has been flowing for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years. At first glance, the water appears gentle. It bends around rocks rather than crashing through them. It flows quietly, patiently, never seeming to rush. And yet, over time, that same river can carve enormous valleys through solid stone. Now think about that for a moment. Stone feels permanent. When you touch a mountain, it seems immovable, eternal, untouched by time. And yet the river reshapes it slowly, not through force, not through sudden explosions of strength, but through persistence, drop by drop, day after day, year after year, and eventually the landscape itself changes. This is one of the most powerful lessons nature offers us. Strength does not always look loud or dramatic. Sometimes strength looks like patience. Sometimes strength looks like quiet persistence. Sometimes strength looks like someone continuing forward even when no one else notices the effort. Now imagine applying that same principle to your own life. Perhaps there is something you have wanted to change for a long time. Maybe it is your confidence. Maybe it is your health. Maybe it is your finances, your creativity, your career, or your sense of purpose. Perhaps you have tried before and felt discouraged when the results did not appear quickly. That discouragement is something nearly everyone experiences. Our minds are designed to look for quick feedback. We like to see proof that our efforts are working. When that proof does not arrive quickly, the brain begins to whisper dangerous ideas. It says, maybe this is pointless. Maybe this is not working. Maybe you should stop before you waste more time. But here is the quiet truth many people never hear. Some of the most important forms of growth are invisible at first. Think about a seed buried beneath the soil. When you plant it, nothing appears to happen. Days pass, perhaps weeks pass. If you were simply watching the ground above the seed, you might conclude that nothing is changing. But beneath the surface, something remarkable is happening. Tiny roots are pushing outward through the soil. The seed is building the foundation it will need to survive storms and dry seasons and the long journey toward becoming a tree. And only after that invisible work is finished does the small green shoot finally break through the surface. Our lives often follow the same pattern. You might spend months learning a skill, reading, practicing, slowly improving in ways that no one else can see. You might spend years healing from something difficult. You might spend countless quiet mornings building discipline or courage or knowledge. At times, it may feel like you are standing still, but beneath the surface, your roots are growing. Let me tell you another story. Imagine a traveler walking through a vast forest. The trees are tall and dense. Sunlight filters through the leaves in thin beams that dance across the ground. After some time, the traveler realizes something troubling. The path behind them has disappeared. Every direction now looks unfamiliar. The traveler is lost. At first, panic begins to rise. The forest seems endless. The silence becomes heavy. Every direction looks the same. In moments like this, the human instinct is often to freeze. Fear whispers that moving might make things worse. But survival experts often teach something surprising. When someone becomes lost in the wilderness, remaining completely still rarely improves their situation. Standing in one place keeps them exactly where they are. Movement, however, creates possibility. A few careful steps may reveal a stream. A small hill may reveal a clearing. A trail might appear where none seemed visible before. With each step, the traveler learns something new about the landscape. Clarity emerges from movement. Life works in much the same way. Many people wait for clarity before they act. They believe they must know exactly where the path leads before taking the first step. But clarity often appears only after movement begins. You try something, you learn something, you adjust. Each step reveals the next step. Think about how children learn to walk. They do not wait until they fully understand balance. They simply try. They wobble, they fall, then they stand again. Through movement, the body slowly learns what stillness could never teach. And eventually, the child who once struggled to stand begins to run freely across the world. Now let us talk about something that stops many people from continuing: uncertainty. Human beings are deeply uncomfortable with not knowing what will happen next. Our minds evolved to search for patterns and predict danger. When the future becomes unclear, anxiety often appears. But uncertainty is not always a signal that something is wrong. Often it is simply the natural companion of growth. When you begin learning something new, uncertainty appears. When you start a creative project, uncertainty appears. When you change direction in life, uncertainty appears. But those moments are also the moments when growth is most likely to happen. Nature once again shows us this pattern everywhere. Each year, millions of birds begin extraordinary migrations across oceans and continents. They travel thousands of miles through storms, darkness, and unfamiliar landscapes. The journey is uncertain, yet they move anyway. They do not wait for a perfect forecast. They do not demand absolute guarantees. They move because movement is part of how life survives. And in a quiet way, the same instinct exists inside you. The problem is that modern life sometimes teaches us to ignore that instinct. We are told to wait until we are completely ready. We are told to wait until the conditions are perfect. We are told to wait until we feel confident. But readiness is often created through action, not before it. Confidence is often built through repetition, not before it. Momentum begins the moment movement begins. Now here is a simple practice that can help when life feels overwhelming. I call it the one-step rule. When a goal feels too large, the mind begins to panic. The distance ahead looks impossible. But instead of focusing on the entire journey, reduce the task to a single step. Write one sentence. Walk for 5 minutes. Read one page. Make one small improvement. That tiny action may not seem important in the moment, but it breaks the spell of stillness. It reminds your mind that progress is possible. Another powerful practice is learning to lower the pressure you place on yourself. Many people stop moving because they believe progress must look perfect. They compare their beginning to someone else's middle. They assume every mistake is proof they are not good enough. But growth rarely looks perfect. It looks messy. It looks uncertain. It looks like someone slowly learning through experience. And that is not failure. That is learning. There is also something comforting about remembering the pace of nature. Forests take decades to mature. Rivers carve valleys over centuries. Mountains rise and fall across millions of years. Life itself unfolds through patience. You do not need to rush your growth. You simply need to continue. Sometimes the smallest steps produce the most meaningful change. A person who walks for 10 minutes every day eventually becomes someone who enjoys movement. Someone who reads a few pages every evening eventually becomes someone with deep knowledge. Someone who practices kindness daily eventually becomes someone surrounded by trust and friendship. Tiny actions accumulate. Quiet habits reshape identity. And eventually, something remarkable happens. The person you once hoped to become slowly becomes the person you are. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. Life on this planet has existed for billions of years. During that immense stretch of time, it has faced ice ages, volcanic eruptions, shifting continents, and countless challenges. Yet life endured. Not because it was always strong, not because it always knew what would happen next, but because it kept moving. And the same quiet strength exists inside you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not incapable. You may simply be standing still, waiting for certainty that never arrives. But the truth is beautifully simple. You do not need to see the entire path. You only need to take the next step. So tonight, remember this gentle truth. Movement creates possibility. You do not need perfect answers. You only need the courage to continue. Keep moving. Keep growing. Keep becoming. And if this message resonated with you, if something inside you felt lighter or calmer while listening, I would love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments what small step you will take next. And if you would like more reflections like this, you are always welcome to return and listen again. Consider liking the video and subscribing so we can continue exploring these quiet ideas together. Until then, take care of yourself, be patient with your journey, and remember that sometimes the smallest step forward quietly changes everything.